Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to High Vibing It. We are so excited for another episode that will hopefully elevate your vibe, help your life, support you through whatever it is. And we're going to give you some good juice today because we have an awesome guest. His name is George Lizos. He is a light worker, a psychic healer, a spiritual teacher, a best-selling author, all the things. And we are very excited to chat with him today about protecting your energy and having those energetic boundaries and how to cleanse it. And just, I think all the things that a lot of people have been thinking about today, because in the world, there is a lot of misunderstanding and just people like coming at you. I feel like people are so polarized. Everyone's trying to come at you. And as a light worker, you're just like, please don't. I'm so sensitive. So I think George can help us sift through that a little bit today. George, if you could tell the people in your own words what you love to do, a little bit about your work, and then we can dive into some of the goodies for today.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I'm so excited to be here to chat about one of my favorite topics, which is about energy protection. So, a few words about me. I am passionate about helping light workers and empaths to find, follow, and fulfill their life purpose. And I do this using different kind of tools. I'm passionate about helping them find their purpose and define it in very specific terms. And that was the purpose of my second book, Light Workers Gotta Work. But this third book, Protect Your Light, is all about protecting our energy, because unless our energy is clear and unless we're energetically authentic, because that's how I define energy protection, is the art of being energetically authentic, then we end up thinking other people's thoughts, feeling other people's emotions, behaving in ways that are not in alignment with who we really are, and therefore we're not following our purpose, we're following other people's purpose. So I'm a psychic healer, I'm a spiritual teacher, and I'm excited to be here to chat about it.
I
Yay.
can't wait. I feel like I just like manifested you. But it's because like when you say like you end up picking up other people's emotions and their thoughts, their feelings, and kind of holding it and carrying it, and it's so heavy. That's my dad. He is a hermit, complete hermit, and he told me since I was a kid, like, I can't go out in big crowds because I hear people's thoughts. And I just thought he was a crazy hippie, but I was a teenager at the time, so I was like, what are you talking about? But now I get it. Like, I feel like I'm stepping into his footsteps. So I'm always so interested to learn new ways to protect my energy. And especially, I know we're going to talk about this a little bit, but especially on social media, because I'm not somebody, we were talking about the holiday before we started recording. And you mentioned it was a quiet holiday with family, which is how you like it. And I could not agree more. Being in large crowds and just being around people, even if I love them, is a lot. So social media is like you're jumping into a deep end of, just people, as Kelsey said, people coming at you all the time. So I'm super interested to start the new year with like some really good energetic boundaries and nice ways that are accessible to protect that. So thank you for coming today. I know that's long-winded, but like I said, I feel like you are here specifically for me and people like me to just like open our eyes to the fact that you don't have to carry it all the time. And it feels that way though, doesn't it? So,
Yes.
I mean, I don't even know what my first question is. Where do you think we should go? Because I just want to hear it all.
I want to talk a little bit about, because you said people like me, which is very important because we're all light workers, we're empaths. We identify as sensitive individuals who are here to use our spiritual gifts to create positive change in the world. I think this is what groups everyone together who are on a spiritual path. And what it's important to realize, and that's something that I talk in the book as well, is that it's especially important for us to protect our energy because A, we're more sensitive than other people. So we're naturally open energetically so that we can read other people's energy so we can do our work. So it is a gift. But at the same time, if we don't know how to manage, it can become a curse at the same time. At the same time, the second reason it's so important for light workers and empaths and spiritual people in general to protect our energy more so than most people is because our purpose is to create change in the world. Our purpose goes beyond our personal well-being and it has to do with creating global change. So it's especially important for us because we literally incarnated into the world to create change, to collaborate with each other and create change in the world. So unless we're energetically authentic, then we're not in alignment with our purpose and are not able to move forward towards it. So, and you also talked about a little bit about social media. And this is something, I don't know, I've never seen a book out there about how to protect your energy on social media. That's why part 4 of Protect Your Light is all about energy protection on social media. And what people don't realize is that our digital world, the digital landscape, is a mirroring and a reflection of the physical world we live in. In the same way we have cities, public spaces here, and then private spaces such as our homes, every single social media site also has public spaces. The news feed on Facebook, for example, or the Explore tab on Instagram. And we have private spaces such as private Facebook groups or such as the DM spaces on Instagram as well. So whenever we engage on social media and we go through these different spaces, we may be in our beautiful, safe haven here at home, but the different bodies that we have, our emotional body, our mental body, our astral bodies, they're globetrotting. It's like being on a world tour, like from social media side to the other social media side, interacting with people, like getting so much energy. And then we wonder why we feel so down. And even science has created the term emotional contagion to describe how people experiencing emotions and sharing them on social media can be contagious to other people all across the world, which shows that because the world has changed technologically, we also have to adjust our energetic tools to protect ourselves in this growing technological world, especially now with the pandemic, that everything is going online.
So I really want to hear the contrast of like where you were before, I guess maybe before you started practicing energy protection, or how it felt for you to be in the world, because I think a lot of people can resonate with how they feel now, to what you've been able to do with your energy and how it's different.
Growing up in a small island, I'm from Cyprus. With all small communities in general, I think people have this experience. We feel judged. We feel like we have to fit into other people's expectations. We have to be a certain way. And I mean, I haven't met a light worker who's consider themselves to be normal as a kid, in the sense that I was the kind of kid that liked being out and talking to the plants and communicating with the fairies and staring.
I was hanging out in graveyards trying to figure out how people died. Like,
there you go.
Yep.
Which we talked about in my podcast as well. So I was just wondering, why am I here? What is the purpose of life? So as a result of growing up in a small community and being a sensitive empath, I felt all this judgment. I received it as well, but I also felt it. So from a very young age, I had this sense of I'm weird, I'm different, and I need to try extra hard to fit in. And that was a theme throughout my childhood and early teenage years, up to the point when I turned 13 and I realized I was gay, and I couldn't accept that because the world around me told me that gay people were criminals and pedophiles. So how could I take on yet another label that would set me out apart from other people? So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna change myself from gay to straight, one step at a time, like I did with so many other things about me. And that's when I entered the 2 most debilitating years of my life, where for 2 years, I tried to monitor the way I walked, the way I talked, the way I expressed myself, the way I thought, trying to turn me straight. And when I couldn't do that, because I was very religious, very Christian at the time, and there was a judgment coming from that front as well, I'm like, you know what? I'm sinful, I'm a human abomination, what's the point of existing? I'm just gonna do everyone a favor and take my own life. And it was a very dark moment in my life where one night I wrote a letter to my parents, I had the pills ready, I was ready to put an end to it. And that's when I had the epiphany. And the epiphany was, you know what, you do have a choice. You can learn to love yourself, you can learn to empower yourself, you can learn to forgive yourself. And I had no idea how I would do that, because all I experienced was judgment and self-loathing. But you know how it works. When you show up for you, the universe shows up for you. So my willingness to change brought me different tools and practices and meditation and energy healing and practices. And step by step, I learned how to take charge of my energy, to remove all these different energetic attachments in the terms of limiting beliefs and thought forms and energies that other people have imprinted of me, cut the cords that I had to toxic religion and dogma, etc. and then take charge of my energy and allow my soul to inform how I felt about myself, not other people to inform how I felt about myself. So literally learning to protect my energy saved my life.
Wow.
I love that story. I'm sorry you had to go
Powerful.
through it, but I know you're not. There's always that higher perspective of like, yeah, I'm glad I went through it. I mean, every single person here in this call and probably listening too, I know you have that story. Kelsey has that story. I have that story of just like, I don't think I would trade it because I like this version. And I don't know who those versions are that didn't go through what I went through, and that, the versions of me that had it all right away and didn't have to go through anything. Like, that sounds weird to me. Like, I like this version who walked through the fire. What, each one of us has that version of fire to come out the other side with knowledge that can only be gained in the fire. You know what I mean? Like, you can't learn it any other way. You can't learn it by not walking the path. So thank you so much for sharing that. I know that there are people listening that can resonate, and you probably touched someone deep in their soul. Like, oh my gosh, that's what I need. That's the answer. So how do we do it?
Tell us how to have energy.
Let's just dive in,
please.
Girl.
Well, my question would be, I guess, to set this up, how can we first differentiate what's mine versus what's other people's? And then once you do that, like, where do you go with that information? Because I think that's where a lot of people struggle, A, with like thinking that all the feelings they have are theirs, right? And then B, like, okay, even if it's not mine, I'm still feeling it. So now what do I do with it?
Right.
Perfect. So in the book, Protect Your Light, I talk about a 7-step system to cleansing and shielding and protecting your energy. Now, I will share the basic 3 steps, which is essentially how you do that. Step number 1 is how you identify what's yours and what's other people's. First of all, the most important thing, knowledge is power. So the more you know about how your energetic immune system works, the more you know about your aura and how it attracts different energetic attachments, and the more you know about the type of energetic attachments that can be littering your energy field right now, the more you'll be able to see. That's why in the beginning we start at what are the main types of energetic attachments. And I'm just going to cover them really quickly. The main 5 ones. There are way more that I talk about in the book, but the main 5 ones are karmic contracts. Now, this is a little bit more esoteric. These are karmic promises or contracts that we've made in past lives that are affecting us in a present lifetime. Or karmic curses as well, which is psychic attack, people attacking us and ill-wishing us in past lives, and we still have some attachment of that in the present lifetime. We also have toxic cords of attachment to people, to places, to limiting beliefs, to objects even. So whatever relationship we have with people, with animate and inanimate objects, we have energetic cords and ties and filaments connecting us to them. Even if the relationship physically ends, if we don't take the time to cut those cords, then they're still affecting us.
I have a plate from my ex-boyfriend that's in my kitchen right now.
Oh my God, you have to break it.
I am so excited.
Break it right now.
TTYN.
I am so excited to break it now. I never thought of that. I mean, of course, in the idea of like, yes, of course, energy is attached to objects, but I never put 2 and 2 together until you said those words in that order. And I'm like, oh.
It's in the book I talk about this. It's called object attachment, where it's like psychic attachment. So it's an object attachment. It holds the energy of that relationship. There is an energetic filament connecting you to that object and that object to your ex. So for as long as you have that object, it's still gonna affect you. I had the same thing with a gift that my ex gave me, and I had so much resistance letting it go. And one night I'm like, you know what? Enough. So I just took it and just tore it apart. It was a piece of clothing. It felt so like freeing.
Yeah, it feels so good. I can't wait to break. I don't even know why I have it. We have plenty of plates. It's just there.
It's the attachment. It's the energetic attachment. And I bet you think about him more than you would like as a result.
I mean, I guess in passing, yeah, for sure. We have a lot of mutual friends, but yeah, I'm breaking that plate, man. Breaking it. Yes. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I had to tell you that I definitely resonate with the object attachment.
And you've just gave us an extra type that I talk about in the book. So we have karmic contracts, we have cords of attachment, object attachments that you've just talked about, we have spirit attachments, which is low-level spirits that linger in the ethers, attaching their energy onto our energy field, siphoning away our energy. This is not psychic possession, by the way. Many people confuse spirit attachment with a psychic possession. Psychic possession is more popular and more present within Hollywood movies rather than in realities. It's when a spirit takes hold of your body and controls it. It's very rare. I've never experienced it or seen it in my career. Spirit attachment is a more subtle form of a spirit just attaching themselves to our energy field and just draining us, making us feel lethargic and drained. Then we have
to come back to that, but do go on.
Yes. The last two are residual spatial energy. It's the most common one. Whenever we go through physical spaces, we litter those spaces with our energy. We're having a negative emotion or having a negative thought. We imprint that, a little bit of that, into the ethers of the space. And as we walk through that, or someone else walk through it, we catch on this residual spatial energy. And then the final one are collective thought forms, which are more frequent than people would think. Haven't you heard of stories of someone not being afraid of heights or not being afraid of flying, and then suddenly they have this unconscious phobia of flying or heights? That's because they've stumbled in a collective thought form of that phobia. Collective thought forms are vibrational clouds of different emotions and limiting beliefs or fears. They could be positive ones, but they can also be negative ones. So they hold the collective frequency of every thought, emotion that has ever been thought and will be ever thought and felt about that emotion. And then when we experience that negative emotion, our being seeks out into the universe energetically to find that collective frequency, the collective thought form, hooking ourselves into it, and it supplies us with a constant flow of negative thoughts and energy and emotions that keep us stuck into that limiting belief. So these are the top 5 types of energetic attachments that I talk about in the book. Now, coming to your question, how do I identify what's ours and what's theirs? The 3-step process, which is the toned down version of the 7-step process that I talk about in the book, is identify, clear, and then shield. Identify, where I guide you through a process of turning on your psychic vision and scanning your energy field, your energetic body, and then your aura to identify these energetic attachments. And you see them psychically, you see them visually, and then you know that this is not mine and this is not mine because it looks mucky. It looks like etheric cobwebs or energetic mucus. So that's step number 1. We identify, we have a list of everything. Okay, this is what I have to clear. Step number 2, which is the second part of the book as well, it's all about clearing. There are different types of tools that we use to clear all that. And then step number 3, which is the third part of the book as well, is all about shielding. After we clear, how do we shield our energy to protect? It's like going out and on a snowy day with a short sleeve shirt. You're gonna freeze to death. So same thing energetically. When you go out and you're gonna be surrounded by 1,000 people, then put on your energetic coat, for goodness sake.
Word. I love that. I wish I would have had your book like a week ago, because yesterday I was teaching a self-love workshop in a very intimate setting in a yoga studio, and it was going so great. Everyone's like really receiving the medicine. Everyone's healing, crying, laughing, whatever. And then I'm like doing an emotional check-in with everyone. And this one lady got super triggered, and she was so angry that she started crying and she left. And I felt so like, oh my gosh, I'm the one who upset her. Like, I'm just here trying to help people. Like, this is terrible. And of course, it left a huge energetic imprint on the room when she was like leaving. And then everyone felt like a little weird after, like, oh, that was like really heavy and crazy. And I just felt like personally attacked, because she was like saying all these things like, oh, how can you speak of trauma in this way and blah, blah, blah. Like, she freaked out. And I haven't been able to shake it like the whole day. Even like now thinking about it, I'm like flustered again, like how when it happened, because it was so like intense in that moment. And now I'm just thinking, man, I really wish I would have had this book a week ago. So can I
tell you what to do? Because it's
please
really gonna help
me.
You. So aside from the energetic, so that was psychic, that was 3 different psychic attachments, energetic attachments. There was psychic attack there, because when someone directs anger or jealousy towards you, that is a dagger, an energetic dagger.
Right,
So when
I
you go
felt
in
it.
meditation, scan your back and identify that dagger that should be there, and then use your visualization techniques to remove it.
Okay.
Second thing, the energetic imprint she left was like it littered everybody's energetic fields, but also yours. So make sure to do a cleansing process. Maybe in the shower, you can use, I talk in the book about having a unicorn shower where you ask your unicorn spirit guide to infuse your water with rainbow light, and you allow that rainbow light to just wash over all that residual energy. The other thing that it's harder to see, I talk about the toxic group cords of attachment. So we have cords of attachment to people, but when we work in a group situation, there is a group cord, which is like a collateral cord connecting many people together. So she affected, because she's still part of that cord dynamic, she's poisoned, quote unquote, energetically, that whole core dynamic. That's why everybody left weird after that. So it's very important to visualize all these people being connected with cords, and then send healing, cleansing violet flame light through those cords to clear it. And then you'll immediately feel the energy lifting and raising.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I took notes. I'm gonna do all those things. Yeah, because right when I got home, I was like, sage, shower. But I still was like thinking about it a lot, because I felt bad, because of course I was taking it on as like, oh, well, if I hadn't have said that one thing and then she hadn't have misinterpreted it, then she wouldn't have gotten upset. And it's my fault that she got upset, which obviously I know that it's not, but like that codependent part of me is trying to convince me, like if I hadn't done something, then she wouldn't have freaked out. So thank you for that.
That's how we are, like
I know.
empaths and light workers. We tend to be people pleasers. So that's why it's extra important to protect our energy.
So just as a side note, I guarantee you whatever happened to her in that session was supposed to be part of her journey. Sure. And she's probably thinking about it way more than she wants to. And it's probably helping her way more than she thinks it is. So, everybody's got their own path. So yeah, you contributed to hers.
I know that I was coming from a good place of love and light, and like, I know my pure intentions. So that's all I can totally remind myself is like, I know that I'm good and I was doing something good. And
well, we're definitely sending love to that participant anyway.
Yeah,
for sure.
Everybody needs love, especially when you're freaking out.
Gosh, yes.
Oh man. Okay, so let's talk about the body. Using and getting in touch with our body as an energy protection tool. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you want to add about that?
Yes. So when it comes to energy cleansing and energy protection, we have all these beautiful, wonderful bells and whistles. Literally, we have bells that we can use to clear our energy. You talked about like saging and Palo Santo, and we can use water, we can work with fire, we can work with essential oils and crystals.
The sun and the moon.
Oh my God, spirit guides, the angels, there's so much we can work with to cleanse and protect our energy, to the point that sometimes we become codependent and we give our power away to those tools or spirit guides, thinking that they have the power to clear us, and therefore we come to depend on them. Or that we think that the spirit guides that we work with, they are more powerful than us. So something that I make extra clear in the book is that our most powerful energy protection tool is our own body. It is our body that protects our energy. It is our body that cleanses our energy, not those tools and not those spirit guides. They are just complementary to our own protection power. I can literally teach you how to cleanse and shield your energy by just using your body. You can clap to break up stagnant energy. You can use your hands to swish it away. You can blow sacred air to clear it. And then you can just visualize yourself being surrounded by white light. And there we go, cleansing and protecting our energy. So it's very important to not give our power away to spirit guides, even with spirit guides. And many people can think, well, they're ascended spiritual beings. Of course, they're more powerful. No, they are spiritual extensions of you. So they simply help you own and practice skills and powers and qualities that you have, but you haven't given yourself permission to accept yet. So they're just enabling you and allowing you to turn on and embrace your psychic abilities because you're the one clearing that. It's all happening in your mind. Yes, the spirit guides are assisting, but you have the power to do so.
I love
Dang.
that. Thank you
So-
for giving us those quick little tools because
I'm gonna be clapping everywhere.
yeah, I know. Like, I'm very sensitive to energy in a space, and I'm super, because of that, I'm really into feng shui and cleansing the energy of my space. My home is always very particular, and I've definitely used clapping and bells and all these tools, but I never thought about using them for my own body. So this is like a new application. I'm very excited.
Yes, and
So
I'm obsessed with space clearing as well. And we can use the same tools that we use for space clearing for our own body because energy is energy.
Right. Makes sense. Very cool. I love that. Also, can I just say, I feel like we need to get Netflix in here and have you be added to the cast of Queer Eye because I feel like you are just like, they need a psychic on their team, right? They have all
I
the
do
other
agree.
elements.
You are
but
the
they
one
need
piece
the
that's
psychic. And
missing
literally
from the
since
group.
the moment I saw you, I was like, oh my gosh, he is so gorgeous. He is so powerful. He is so amazing.
Thank
he needs
you.
to be in this fab. Well, I guess it would be the Fab Six if you joined, but I was literally just watching a bunch yesterday and I just smile when I think of them. And then I think of you being with them and I'm like, wow, that would be epic. I
Thank
feel like
you. I
are
do
all
appreciate
about
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely need a more
Right?
so they need
Spiritual
some woo.
approach.
They definitely do. Everybody does, don't they?
Some grounded woo. That's the
Yeah,
important
yes.
thing.
Grounded
Yes.
woo. I like it.
Now, I don't know if I've ever experienced this, but I have heard about this a lot, especially recently, which I don't think is a coincidence. Can we talk about spirit attachment? Because I honestly, if you had asked me 3 years ago, I'd be like, that's not real. Come on. But I mean, come on. So tell me about what I need to know here, because apparently people are experiencing this. How do you know if you have that? Can we talk about it?
Yes, of course. So spirit attachment, just a definition, is when a low-level spirit attaches themselves to your aura or creates a cord with you that drains away your energy or perpetuates a negative habit, emotion, thought, or limiting belief. And yes.
Question. I don't want to interrupt, so I'm just going to raise my hand like a little good student.
Go for it.
How do you define a low-level spirit? I guess
That was
is
my
my
next
first.
thing.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes,
You are psychic.
It's an important question because many people think of like demons when I say that, but it's not that. So first of all, I don't believe personally that there is a source of evil. I believe there is the absence of love. Okay, so low-level spirits are simply not inanimate. Let me just start again. Low-level spirits are beingless beings that manifest out of collective fear. Let me give you an example. Let's say we have 100 people here and they're all afraid of something specific. Their collective fear gives rise and gives birth to a being. It's so strong that it manifests in a form of a low-level spirit. And that is beingless. It doesn't have a source. It's not connected to something evil. It's just a fear-based thought form that manifests, that takes form and takes life, that just lingers around, seeking for people who have the same vibrational frequency and therefore feel the same kind of fear to hook into them and just siphon away the energy. At the same time, we have souls that passed on but haven't quite realized they have passed on, and they still linger on planet Earth. Like I'm talking about being full beings, like actual beings, like who used to be humans. And I tend to see them specifically around clubs and bars. Whenever there is a large group of people that are intoxicated, either with drugs or with alcohol, the vibration lowers, first of all, our energetic defenses fall. Many of these earth-based spirits have been, for example, addicts in their actual life, or they've been drug addicts or alcoholics. So they linger to bars and clubs, trolling for people whose vibration are low, their energetic defenses are low, attaching themselves to their energy field so they can get their fix. So they can get their alcohol fix or their drug fix. That's why whenever someone has had a history of intense partying, intense intoxication of any form. And by the way, by intoxication, it can also be emotional. It can be abuse or depression. It creates vulnerabilities and holes in the aura, and then attracting beings, either actual people who have died and are still trapped on planet Earth and haven't moved on to the light, or just beingless low-level spirits that attach themselves to them, sucking away their energy. They could also be spirits from past lives. So there's more, there are different types, but these are the most common ones I see. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm more scared than I ever have been, because now I'm like, oh, I probably have that. I probably have a whole bunch of little. Here's why I say that, because
they just need love, and
because without going too much into my own experience, I am just, my default setting is just drained. After this podcast, I'm gonna need to lay down for like at least 15 minutes to kind of just come back to myself. I get drained so easily. Like if it's past 2 p.m. and I've been working, I literally cannot go past that, because I just feel like I have nothing left. Now, do I want my workday to end at 2 p.m.? Kind of, but also kind of not. Like I want to be able to keep going if I can. I also have 3 boys. I'm married. You know, I got things going on, but I know this isn't completely normal. So I guess I'm trying to figure out where it's kind of coming from. And when you say things like that, I'm like, it makes me think, you know what I mean?
This is definitely a sign of a spirit attachment. When someone has had chronic fatigue, it is a sign of a spirit attachment, among other things. It could be something else as well. So it's just a matter of going into meditation, scanning your energy field and seeing what's there. And then you'll be able to lift it. Now, I want to take the fear away from it though, because you mentioned I'm scared now. And it's very important to not feed fear with fear.
Right.
Because those low-level spirits can only exist if you're afraid of them, because your fear feeds them and they live on that. So essentially, the rule of thumb is the higher our vibrational frequency and the more aligned we are to source, to who we really are, the more protected we are. People say, oh, you can only be energetically attacked because when you believe it. And it's true. Like if you believe in attack, you can be attacked.
Well, shit, George, I didn't believe it 2 minutes ago, but
But here's the thing though. I personally don't think that we can 100% eliminate our fear of becoming attacked, because the industry of protection is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and our need to protect our well-being has been ingrained into our DNA since our existence. You can see our cavemen being in caves, protecting themselves from the wildlife. We set strong passwords online because we want to protect ourselves. We wear clothes when it's cold outside for the same reason. The military industry, like all the protection industries around the world, they're thriving because for as long as we have an ego and therefore we're separate, we feel separate from the rest of the world, that means there is something to protect. So we can't separate our ego from our beingness, or as long as we're humans. And therefore, as long as we have an ego, we'll have at least 0.00001% belief in attack. That's why protection is necessary. Many people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm just aligned and I'm connected to the world and we're all one. I don't believe in attack. I'm like, if you were 24/7 with the world, you would be dead.
Right.
Means you're not dead.
100%. Yeah.
But not
you're
being
not
a body.
aligned 24/7.
Oh, I love that distinction. It's absolutely true. And I totally know what you're talking about, because there are, gosh, God bless them, but there are people that are like, nothing can touch me. I'm like, but you're here. You're still here.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's funny. Shoot, there was something I was going to say, but I can't remember what it was. So I'm sure I'll think of it eventually.
So my point is,
oh, go ahead.
I want to say it a little quickly. So don't be afraid of spirit attachments, because A, they cannot attack you. They cannot control you. They cannot infiltrate you. They can only drain you. So when you fear them being there, that gives them more power. When you're like, you know what, you're gone, what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours, that's when you step into your protection power and you're able to lift them way easier. Go ahead.
Love it.
Oh, nice. I was going to ask a little bit more about spirit guides and how we can like call them in to help us in the protection process, or to help us clear things. Do you have any tips or favorite guides to connect with or anything like that?
I have many. So, in the book Protect Your Light, I talk about the planet Earth, Gaia, as being the OG energy protector. She is the original in the sense that the Earth has been here for 4.5 billion years. We've been here a fraction, like a blink of an eye of the timeline. So the Earth and the Earth's spirit guides, the elementals, the nature spirits, have literally been here since the beginning of time, and they have ensured that the Earth has thrived no matter all the pollution we've done. I have a degree in geography. So what my teachers have always told us is that it's not about saving planet Earth. Like, we're like, oh, save the planet. The planet doesn't need us to save her. Who we need to save is ourselves.
Yeah.
Because the planet will simply just kick us out, flush us out,
Yep.
like with a pandemic, for example. Wink, wink.
You are
If
not
we
wrong.
Yes, if we keep abusing her. So the elementals have ensured, and they're master energetic protectors. They know how to clear energy with the ocean currents and the atmospheric systems, and with volcanoes and pandemics and earthquakes and whatever's going on in the world. So we can partner with them for energy protection. So the only spirit guides I talk about in the book are elementals, such as the dragons, the fire dragons, or working with the mermaids, working with the unicorns, working with the sylphs, and just the elements, working with fire, water, air, and spirit, and using those elements as a way to clear our energy.
That's fantastic. I have a channeler friend. She was actually on the show a while ago, but I did a session with her, I don't know, 10 years ago, crazy amount of time. And at the time, I think I asked her some sort of question about the environment, like, are we really in danger? And oh no, it wasn't me. It was like a class. I remember now. It was a class thing. She was there. Somebody in the class asked it, and she goes, well, what she was getting is that, like, what do you do when you have a cold? You take medicine, you flush out the sickness. And that was all she left us with. And it was like, oh shit, she's just gonna like wipe us out.
Exactly.
But I love that because, nobody wants to hear, at least for me, I don't want to just hear that the planet's going to burn up one day. That makes me so sad. I would rather vacate, like let her do her thing and regenerate, which she's probably done many, many times in the past. Like, I don't think this is humans' first try at all.
She's constantly regenerating, and we can work with the swashing and the backwashing of the water when we are out in nature to cleanse ourselves. That's why the sea is so cleansing. That's why having a shower, a unicorn shower, as I talk about in the book, is also very cleansing. When we look at the sun, we can let the sun burn away all the psychic attack and all the energetic attachments from our body. When we're out on a windy day, we can let the sylphs, the elementals of the wind, just like swish away all the negative energy from our auric body. So in the book, I talk about different cleansing energies that we can do both out in nature, such as with a sylph storm, that's how I call it in the book, or by working with the energy of fire. I have my candle here. So for those of you watching, I have my candle in front of me, and every single candle has a salamander. Salamanders are fire elementals, and they're literally the elementals that live within each candle. And I talk about in the book about a process I called candle cupping, where you can use your hand to take part of that fire and just run it around your body, just clearing away your energy. This is a wonderful practice to do at the end of the day to just remove all the residual energy you've attracted. You're just burning it away with the power and with the energy of the salamanders. And then, of course, make sure to offer your gratitude to the salamander before blowing off the candle.
Hey there. We hope you're enjoying this episode so far, but if you want to listen to the whole thing, we're going to invite you over to our podcast. Either search for High Vibing It on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you guys listen to podcasts, or even better, if you want to watch the extended video version of this episode that's even longer than the actual podcast itself, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/highvibe. Lindsay, tell them what's awesome about the Patreon.
Patreon is where we have all of our extended episodes. As Kelsey said, we have it on video, so you can actually see the things that we're talking about. Sometimes we have visual aids, and it's nice to know what we're talking about. We also have hangouts that we do sometimes that are exclusive to Patreon people. And you can get started with all of this and bonus content and everything that we have only for the Patreon people for as little as $3. I think it's $3.33 a month. And that's it. And you guys can get all the benefits and all access to everything that we put in there. Really
Yeah.
cool.
It's really cool, really fun, super easy to join. And you guys don't even have to do that to finish this episode. If you're like, screw it, I don't want to pay any money, I just want to hear the rest of this episode, go to our podcast, High Vibe in It, search for it wherever you listen. It's totally free. Either way, enjoy the rest of the show wherever you choose to enjoy it. And we will see you guys next week because we do a new one every week. Adios.
Bye.